Hello, I'm Rob Perez.
Grassroots coach Manisha Taylor.
Christian Carambeu.
Matt Hodgson, director of the 4-year plan.
I'm Rob Lusher.
Dave McLaughlin.
Andy Copeland from the Glemnet Southern Amateur League.
Philip Wick, I'm CEO of 14.
Former chairman of IBIS FC.
Chairman of Alexandra Park FC.
And you're watching
Pitch Talk.
Pitch Talk.
the only place to get your Monday night footballing fix.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk. Make sure you join the revolution, the football revolution.
Name?
Rachel. Sophie.
And collective name?
Girls on the Ball.
Occupation or occupations?
Digital content intern.
Fundraiser / football commentator.
Favourite genre of music?
Hip hop.
Collective. I like so much stuff.
Favourite current song?
Rather be.
Drunken Love.
Favourite past or old school song?
No Diggity.
Chasing waterfalls.
Favourite food?
Italian.
Thai.
Favourite meal?
Roast lamb.
Some sort of pasta dish with loads of cheese.
Breakfast, lunch or dinner?
Dinner.
Dinner.
Favourite place to eat?
Thai restaurant.
Italy.
Favourite place to shop?
I hate shopping.
Primark.
Favourite clothing brand?
Adidas.
Superdry.
Trainers or shoes?
Trainers.
Tennis.
Favourite film?
Love Actually.
The Sound of Music.
Favourite TV show?
24.
Law and Order. SVU.
Favourite DJ?
The bloke that does all the mixes with everybody. What's his name? David Guetta.
Favourite musician or artist?
Ed Sheeran.
I do like Ellie Goulding.
Favourite football player?
Alex Scott.
Alex Scott.
Favourite football club?
Chelsea.
In its entirety, Bristol Academy.
Favourite football manager?
Mark Sampson.
Mark Sampson.
Who inspired you growing up?
Frank Lampard.
My mom.
Who inspires you now?
She does.
One word to sum yourself up.
Loyal.
Funny?
Discrimination in football is the next segment. Do you think the Respect campaign is doing any good for football, or is it just a PR thing, in your view?
I think it's raising awareness, definitely. You can always go a lot further with things, but I think what it's doing initially is brilliant. I think you always have to start somewhere, and they are doing that. And the fact that they've got the badge everywhere, people know what it means. And that is, everyone should be treated the same in football, no matter what. It's hugely powerful, and just to have it out there at every game generates it to players, to fans. You can always go further, but as a starting point, I think.
I think it's being covered a lot, both racism and homosexuality, I think, is in the forefront at the moment, which I think is really important. I do love that no to racism ad, though, with the token female player. It's quite interesting.
You always get. I think it's a case of you're always going to get a token in some sort of respect. It's always
also, they're really ugly up close.
But it's really,
especially Frank Ribery.
They're really like in their. It's something like HD or something. It's really kind of. I forget the message. I'm just kind of a bit shocked by the closeness of the pictures.
It's like, good God, Ribery's ugly.
At least the token girl looks nice, but the rest of them haven't shaved and like.
Do you think there is still discrimination towards women in football?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why?
Because
I think our society in general has just not quite conformed to the idea that women can play football. Same with rugby. Women can't play rugby. It's just old inherent views that it's a macho sport and it's only for the men. And it's changing, definitely, but I think you still have a whole load of men and women especially of the older generations who think that women should have no place in football. And I think it's just down to people like the girls who play football, I guess a little bit like us in a way, to try and change that view, that even just by talking to someone and trying to persuade them that women actually are good and can play football, and it's a real enjoyment.
But also people are very happy to give their opinion on things that they know nothing about. So, you know, this view that women's football is worse than the Sunday League has been around for 10, 15 years, and people just say the same thing, and it's like, well, when was the last time you watched a game? You know, so you get people leaving comments on articles saying how crap women's football is and they'd never watch it. But then it's one of those, well, how do you know it's crap if you don't watch it? You know, so I think things like social media can help, but it can also give people easy outlets to talk rubbish.
Vent.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Speaking of kind of opinions and that kind of thing, we've recently seen a few high-profile athletes, including Casey Stoney, who's obviously a current player in the women's game, and Thomas Hitzlsperger, obviously being the next player, come out in addition to Robbie Rogers. How important do you think it is when players reveal that they are gay in terms of dispelling draconian attitudes towards sexuality in football?
I think it's hugely important. I mean, it's a shame that there isn't an active male football out there there obviously is. There can't be that many male footballers and not have
Yeah, there's plenty of them.
Just by statistics alone. But to have Casey Stoney as a huge figure in women's football, she's now the most high-profile active footballer who's come out as gay. It's going to do wonders for women in football, and I think also maybe a little bit as well on the men's side.
But I think she got such a hugely positive response. You know, it kind of makes it seem slightly less scary, I suppose. But to be honest, I can completely understand why male footballers don't come out, because I've sat in stands in men's grounds and people are horrible. Like, they're just horrible to some of the footballers. So,
and even if they don't necessarily mean it deep down, they'll say it to hurt, and it will hurt because it's 30,000 people screaming.
This is the thing. I mean, I'm not saying that
it's a taunt.
People are horrible people, but at that match, in the heat of the moment, they have no problem being completely vulgar towards somebody and saying something really, really nasty because they missed the goal. So if you're giving them something else to, you know, use, they will, unfortunately. I mean, personally, I look forward to the day when someone's sexuality isn't news and that it's not something they have to talk about. But it's funny how in men's football, their private lives is a huge part of the press. But none of them are gay. It just doesn't seem logical or plausible.
No. I mean, I don't think within the dressing room there's a problem, I wouldn't say, from what I've heard. But I think it's mainly when down to the fans, opposing fans' reaction, and the fact that it will be blown up into this huge deal, which it shouldn't be anyway.
I mean, we've got another fan question from Big T, aka Thomas Hewitt. He's asked, what are your thoughts on England captain Casey Stoney coming out as gay earlier this year? Do you think more players will have the confidence to come out, or are they too embarrassed that the public and the media will judge and humiliate them based on their sexual preferences and not on their footballing ability?
Is this male or female players? I think with female players, I don't think they're embarrassed and I don't think they're afraid that people are going to say bad things about them. I think with a lot of the female players it's hard enough getting known for your football, and I think if they're going to be known for anything, they want to be known for their football, and that's the way that, you know, so it's understandable that if the profile is growing, they want it growing because they're good at what they do. Whereas with men, I don't know. I think, like I said, I think it will be encouraging to see the positive response she got, but I'm not sure whether it will happen.
I don't think there's enough of a support network in place yet with the clubs behind the players. Not that they wouldn't be behind them if it happened, but I don't think anyone's there actively encouraging them to be themselves and to...
I think in women's football, you know, a lot of those who are gay it's known in women's football, it's known in the football circles, it's just not an issue because no one cares.
No one talks about
that.
it.
They
People
talk
know,
about it.
but
Yeah.
it's not an issue when you go and see a game. You don't think about someone's sexuality. You think about the football.
I mean, how do you think football is tackling the issue of homophobia in football? Are they doing enough? Can more be done? And also, how important do you think the PFA and entities like that are in getting rid of homophobia in football?
It's a big task. You know, it's very difficult to control a crowd of 50,000 people. But I think in sport in general, I think they need to do an awful lot more to, you know, fight against it, because sport is meant to be an all-inclusive entity that everyone can get involved in and everyone can support. And when it comes to things like the Russian Olympics, you know, it's a difficult thing going to countries where you know that people that are competing aren't actually welcome or could be arrested, or, you know, I think in that sense more can be done by sport in general to fight for their
I think it's all
players.
about education as well. I mean, I think certain words in the English language are used way too often and without any thought about what they actually mean to people who are gay. They use as an insult, but then maybe not always used like with such a hatred behind it, but people don't realise that those words actually are really important really hard hitting to people who are gay.
So kind of them throw away words.
I mean, kids at school will throw away words, and it happens, and at the moment teachers just shrug it off, but if there's an education there to say that that word is bad, you can't be calling someone that or saying something like that's so gay. It's just used too freely, whereas if you educate and from a young age, it's going to change opinions. I think we're still caught in this era where you probably have a slightly older generation who grew up where it wasn't acceptable and they still have those views. It's changing, and the younger generation, I think, probably are coming more with open views.
I think our generation are
but it's still trying to educate, especially the older ones as well, that everyone should be accepted for who they are, and that is not wrong.
And it also has no impact on whether they can play football or not.
Yeah, that's a true point. That's a true point. On that subject, there was I know co-host Jazzy Fizzle will know about this, but there was a wrestler called Chris Kanyon. Fantastic wrestler. He came out as gay, and it's like, oh, okay. Some people knew about it. Most people didn't. But it was a case of fantastic wrestler. It didn't change my opinion of him. I was like, wow, I didn't even know that. But it was a case of, but in terms of it not affecting your ability to do something, I'm gonna totally agree.
Well, you look at that NFL player who was on the verge of coming out, which I found really odd. They all knew he was gay, but he hadn't officially announced it.
It's like being half pregnant almost. It's like you
either are or you aren't.
Yeah.
And if you're telling people, you're thinking of telling people you're gay, you're kind of already telling people you're gay, surely.
Yeah.
But they were already saying that he was one of the best young players, but in the next draft, he's not going to be as high a pick because of his sexuality, which has nothing to do with his ability to play. So.
Do you think it's those sort of draconian attitudes that are holding things back?
Like you're actually affecting the chances of teams because of something stupid like that has not sexuality isn't stupid, but it's got absolutely no impact on a player's professional career or their ability. So it just seems like such a stupid reason. Yeah.
I mean, do you think that footballers, whether male or female, actually should be role models?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that they are such. I mean, you probably get asked whether you want to be a pop star or a sports star from a very young age, and you always have someone on your wall, or you have someone you look up to. Young boys will look at Steven Gerrard or Frank Lampard for their whole lives and think that's who I want to be. So it's very important. I mean, I've picked two who are pretty good characters, to be honest, and pretty good role models. But it's very important that they live up to and show them a good way to live their lives. I think there are more good role models in women's football, personally. But it's hugely important. I mean, you always have someone you look up to and you want to be like.
Personally, if I had a kid, I'd rather them look up to a sports star than a musician or an actor, because not only, are they leading what I think would be a better career for them to follow? But like, in terms of health-wise, I'd rather my kids say, I want to get into sport than, you know, music or whatever. Because that's another hugely important issue that they have an impact on by inspiring kids to get into
I think
sports.
that's another problem with the media though as well, because they focus on the bad points. You rarely see the likes of Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, Zola in the paper. You know, you see Joey Barton, or you see the bad ones, Ashley Cole, you know, the ones that misbehave. And kids will read this and misbehave, and I think the media should make a more like choice to actively promote the actual good role models that there are out there, because there are, you can look at any team, there are good role models out there, the quiet ones who just live their lives their way and just play football. It aren't affected by the.
Well, I think even people, there's people around the game who don't get, who I don't think through with the parasitic media don't get enough credit for what they do. I would put you two in that bracket personally. I don't think my co-hosts would have any problem with me saying that on our behalf. But it's a case of, do you think the media just always focuses on the wrong things when it comes to football?
Well, it sells papers.
Yeah.
I mean, you read about someone's affair or whatever, and it sells papers because people, it's human nature, I guess. But I think maybe they're driving that human nature, and if they tried to consciously try and change it and focus on the fact that Didier Drogba has a huge charity and goes around doing a lot of good with his foundation in the Ivory Coast.
Yeah, I saw his sports life stories. Was fantastic.
It's absolutely amazing what he does, and James Milner as well. People don't like him, but he's a role model. He has his huge foundation as well.
Craig Bellamy's another one.
They don't make the back pages or the front pages because it's
not sensationalist.
Yeah.